The first thing Nia Cole noticed about Grey Rock Women's Detention Complex was how loud fear sounded when it tried to disguise itself as laughter. Metal doors slammed. Women shouted jokes too hard, too fast. Somewhere down the intake hallway, someone was crying quietly, trying not to be noticed. Nia stood still in the middle of it all, hands folded behind her back, eyes lowered, posture relaxed enough to look harmless. The guard in front of her barely glanced at her face. Step forward. Nia stepped forward. Name: Nia Cole. Charges. The guard flipped the file, frowned, flipped again. You know what you did? Yes, sir. That was it. No explanation. No emotion. The guard snorted and stamped the paper like he was bored already. To everyone else, Nia looked like another quiet black woman swallowed by the system. Mid-30s. No visible tattoos. No gang marks. No attitude. No threat. But as the cuffs came off and the doors buzzed open, Nia's eyes flicked once. Just once. Up toward the ceiling cameras. She counted the seconds between their rotations without moving her lips. For 5, 6. She memorized the rhythm as she walked. Grey Rock breathed differently than other places she'd been. The echoes were sharper. The silence between noises was heavier. That meant the people here were used to violence, but still afraid of it. Afraid enough to follow rules that weren't written anywhere. They led her down Unit D7, where the walls were scuffed with old blood stains nobody bothered to paint over. Inmates leaned against bars, eyes scanning, measuring, judging. Predators searching for weakness. Nia didn't rush. She didn't shrink. She walked like she had all the time in the world. That was mistake number 1, according to Grey Rock. Her cell door opened with a groan, and a thin woman with tired eyes looked up from her bunk. "Oh," the woman muttered. "You're new." Nia set her small bag down. "Looks that way." The woman swallowed. "I'm Tamsin. Listen, I don't know what you did, but you need to understand something real fast." Nia sat on the lower bunk, calm. "I'm listening." Tamsin leaned closer, lowering her voice. "This unit belongs to Briggs Kane. You don't look at her. You don't sit where she sits. You don't eat until she eats. And if she talks to you." Nia met her eyes gently. "You answer," Tamsin finished. "Fast. And polite." Nia nodded once. "Thank you." That was all. Tamsin frowned. "That's it. You're not scared." Nia smiled faintly. "I've learned fear wastes energy." Across the unit, Briggs Kane was watching. Briggs was tall, broad-shouldered, muscles packed tight from years of violence, and weight benches made from welded scraps. Her arms were inked with crude tattoos that told stories of blood and dominance. Women stepped aside when she passed. Guards pretended not to see her deals. She ruled Unit D7 because she understood one thing better than anyone else. Fear had to be fed, and the quiet ones? They were always the most satisfying meals. Briggs noticed Nia because Nia didn't perform. No shaking hands. No darting eyes. No forced smile. Just calm. Briggs chewed slowly on the inside of her cheek, eyes narrowing. "Who's the new ghost?" she asked Rhea, one of her enforcers. Rhea shrugged. "Nobody. Intake trash." Briggs smirked. "Nobody don't walk like that." By the third day, Nia had learned the guard rotations, the blind spots, in which inmates talked too much. She spoke when spoken to. She ate last. She never stared. But she didn't bow either. That was enough. The cafeteria buzzed louder than usual when Briggs stood up with her tray. Nia felt it before she saw it. The shift in air, the tightening of bodies bracing for entertainment. Tamsin's hand twitched nervously beside her. "Oh no," Tamsin whispered. "Please not you." Briggs walked over, boots heavy, confidence loud. She stopped directly in front of Nia and looked down at her tray. "What you got there?" Briggs asked. Nia lifted her eyes slowly. "Lunch." A few snickers rippled through the room. Briggs tilted her head. "You got jokes?" "No." "That come again." Briggs smiled and swept her arm across the table. Food clattered to the floor. Drinks spilled. A banana rolled and stopped against Nia's shoe. Briggs leaned in close enough for Nia to smell stale coffee on her breath. "Clean it up. On your knees." Silence crashed down. This was the moment everyone waited for. The break. The begging. The tears. Nia stood. Not fast. Not slow. Just enough. "You don't want this kind of attention," Nia said quietly. For half a second, Briggs froze. Then laughter exploded around them. Briggs' smile vanished. "You think you special?" "No." "Then kneel." Nia shook her head once. That was when Briggs swung. The punch was brutal, meant to break bone and reputation in one move. Naya stepped inside it. Her fingers pressed, not hard, not violent, just precise. Briggs' breath vanished. Her knees buckled. She collapsed to the floor, eyes wide, mouth opening and closing like she was drowning in air. The cafeteria screamed. Naya knelt beside her, supporting her head so it didn't crack on the tile. "I warned you," Naya whispered. Guards rushed in. Batons raised. Orders shouted. Naya lifted her hands calmly and stood. Captain Alvarez watched from the doorway, eyes locked on Briggs gasping on the floor, then on Naya's steady face. That wasn't panic. That wasn't luck. That was training. And as Naya was led away towards solitary, whispers followed her like smoke. She dropped Briggs. No blood. How? Naya didn't look back. Before the cell door slammed shut behind her, a calm female voice echoed in the narration. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Some stories aren't about noise. They're about what happens when silence finally moves. The door closed, and Greyrock held its breath. The door to solitary closed with a sound that felt permanent. Naya Cole didn't flinch. The cell was narrow, concrete walls stained with old scratches, a thin mattress bolted to steel. A single light hummed overhead, never turning off. No windows. No sound except distant footsteps and the slow breathing of the building itself. Naya sat on the bunk and closed her eyes. She controlled her breath the way she'd been taught years ago. Slow in, slower out. In places like this, panic was the enemy. Time stretched differently when there was nothing to measure it with. She replayed the cafeteria moment in her mind, not with regret, but with analysis. Pressure applied. Duration controlled. No permanent damage. Necessary. She leaned back, folding her hands behind her head. Solitary wasn't punishment to her. It was insulation. Outside that cell, Greyrock was unraveling. Briggs Kane woke up in the infirmary, choking on fear. Her body recovered fast, but something inside her didn't. Every time someone raised their voice, she flinched. When guards shouted commands, she obeyed immediately. Her crew watched in confusion as the woman who once ruled Unit D7 refused to make eye contact. Rumors moved faster than lockdown orders. She didn't even hit her. They said Briggs couldn't breathe. Some kind of nerve thing. She could have killed her. Captain Alvarez sat in the security office long after his shift ended, replaying the footage. He paused it at the moment Briggs' punch froze in midair. Frame by frame. Naya stepping inside the swing. Fingers placed with surgical precision. Calm eyes. Alvarez exhaled slowly. "That's not a street move," he muttered. When Naya was released back into Unit D7 3 days later, the unit felt different. Quieter. Women moved out of her way without being told. Conversations stopped when she passed. Tamsin stared at her like she was looking at a ghost. "What did you do to her?" Tamsin whispered. Naya set her tray down. "I asked her to stop." "That's not funny." Naya met her eyes. "I'm not joking." No one challenged her. Not Briggs. Not Briggs' former enforcers. Not even the women who had bullied others for years. Power didn't always scream. Sometimes it just stood there, waiting. That was when Iron Ma noticed her. Iron Ma didn't approach like Briggs had. No public scene. No theatrics. She waited until evening, when the day room thinned out and shadows stretched long across the floor. Iron Ma was older, her hair cropped short and gray, her face lined with scars that weren't accidents. She walked with the confidence of someone who had nothing left to prove. Crow and Vex flanked her, both quiet, both dangerous in the way only experienced predators were. Iron Ma stopped a few feet from Naya. "You're hard to find alone," Iron Ma said. Naya looked up from her book. "I wasn't hiding." Iron Ma smiled. "That's what makes you interesting." Tamsin stood abruptly. I'll go make a call." Naya didn't stop her. Iron Ma sat across from Naya without asking. "You broke a woman without breaking her bones." Naya closed her book. "She attacked me. And you ended her reign." Iron Ma leaned forward slightly. "You know what that makes you." Naya waited. "Valuable." Naya shook her head. "I'm not interested." Crow stiffened. Vex's jaw tightened. Iron Ma chuckled. "Didn't even ask what I was offering." "I already know." Iron Ma's eyes sharpened. "Then say it." "Protection. Work. Favors that reach outside these walls." Silence hung between them. Iron Ma studied Naya like a puzzle she wanted to own. "You could walk easy in here. Nobody touches you. Nobody touches your people." "I don't have people." "You will." Naya stood. No. Just one word. Iron Ma's smile faded. You sure you want to say no to me? Naya met her gaze evenly. I've said no to worse. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then Iron Ma leaned back, nodding. All right. She stood and walked away with Crow and Vex, but her voice drifted back over her shoulder. Let's see if you still feel that way after tonight. Naya returned to her cell as the lights dimmed. She sat on her bunk, listening. Footsteps. Too controlled. The attack came fast. Crow rushed from the left. Vex from the right. Iron Ma stayed back, watching. Naya moved. Not frantic. Not wild. Efficient. She redirected Crow's momentum into the wall, elbows striking a nerve cluster behind the jaw. Crow dropped instantly. Vex reached for her from behind. Naya twisted, locking the arm and using Vex's own weight to slam her to the floor. Iron Ma lunged. Naya sidestepped, delivered 2 sharp strikes, and stepped back. 3 bodies hit the floor. The entire fight lasted less than 10 seconds. Guards shouted. Alarms blared. Naya stood still, hands visible. Iron Ma lay on her back, staring up at the ceiling, breath ragged, eyes wide with something that looked like awe. What are you? Iron Ma rasped. Naya looked down at her. Someone who wants to finish her time quietly. Lockdown followed. This time, there was no debate. Captain Alvarez personally escorted Naya to Black Veil Hold. You understand why this is happening, he said as they walked. Naya nodded. You're afraid. Alvarez didn't deny it. The heavy door opened. The isolation wing swallowed sound and light. As Naya stepped inside, Alvarez paused. For what it's worth, you could have killed them. Naya glanced back once. I didn't need to. The door closed. And across Greyrock, and beyond, it became clear. The prison hadn't contained Naya Cole. It had simply revealed her. Black Veil Hold didn't echo the way the rest of Greyrock did. Sound went in and never came back. Naya Cole noticed that immediately. The corridor lights were dimmer here, the air colder, the walls thicker. Cells were spaced farther apart, not because the women inside were loud, but because silence carried weight when it belonged to the dangerous. The door slid shut behind her with a hydraulic hiss. Naya stepped inside and surveyed the cell the way she always did. Measurements first. Distance from bunk to wall. Camera angle. Shadow length when the light flickered. She sat down, slow and deliberate. Time moved differently in Black Veil Hold. Days blurred. Meals came through a slot. Guards spoke less, watched more. No one provoked her. No one tested her. Fear had done its job. Word traveled even where people didn't. Other inmates didn't need to see Naya to feel her presence. The story spread from mouth to mouth, cell to cell, facility to facility. A woman who stopped a punch without throwing one. A woman who broke legends and didn't brag. A woman who said no to Iron Ma. Captain Alvarez read the transfer requests piling on his desk and denied every one. No one wanted responsibility for Naya Cole. Keeping her isolated was easier than explaining her. One evening, Alvarez stood outside her cell longer than protocol allowed. You ever think about what happens after? He asked quietly. Naya looked up from the floor where she was stretching. After what? After you leave. She considered it. I think about staying alive. Everything else follows. He nodded slowly. You didn't belong in D7. Naya met his eyes through the glass. I didn't belong in any of it. Alvarez hesitated. Your file? Parts of it are sealed higher than I've ever seen. Naya didn't respond. That was answer enough. Months passed. Naya followed the rules. Ate when told. Slept when allowed. Never spoke unless spoken to. Never lost control. The system didn't know how to punish someone who refused to break. Briggs Kane was transferred out quietly after a panic attack left her curled on the floor of her cell. Iron Ma vanished into another wing, her influence fractured, her name no longer spoken with confidence. The hierarchy collapsed without a replacement. Greyrock settled into something uneasy but stable. On Naya's release day, there was no announcement. No audience. Just paperwork and a final door. Captain Alvarez handed her a folded set of clothes. You kept your word. Naya took them. So did you. He hesitated. You could have run this place. She shook her head. That was never the goal. What was? Naya looked forward as the final gate buzzed open. Survival without becoming what hunts you. The gate slid aside. Sunlight touched her face for the first time in years. Naya stepped out. No one followed. No one stopped her. Behind her, Greyrock remained exactly where it was. Steel, concrete, fear, and silence. but it would never forget the quiet black woman who entered unseen and left undefeated. If this story moved you, share it with someone who understands that silence can be dangerous. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.